Moses, despite his faithful leadership, was denied entry into the Promised Land because of a specific act of disobedience and lack of trust in God at Meribah. This moment, recorded in Numbers chapter 20 verses 7 to 13, was more than just a mistake. It was a failure to honor God's holiness before the people. Here's a deeper look at why this one act had such severe consequences. The incident at Meribah. The Israelites, once again complaining of thirst in the wilderness, accused Moses of leading them to die. They longed for Egypt, forgetting the miracles God had performed. God gave Moses clear instructions. Speak to the rock, Numbers chapter 20 verse 8. Water would flow as a sign of God's provision. However, Moses, overwhelmed by frustration, struck the rock twice instead of speaking to it. Water still came forth, but the issue was Moses' attitude and actions. The core reasons for God's judgment: disobedience to God's direct command. God explicitly told Moses to speak to the rock. Instead, Moses acted on his own will, choosing to strike it. This disobedience may seem small, but for a leader of Israel, obedience was crucial. Lack of trust in God's holiness. God later told Moses, "Because you did not trust me to show my holiness in the sight of the Israelites." By striking the rock, Moses failed to demonstrate God's power properly. Instead of showing that God alone provides, Moses' actions made it seem as if the miracle depended on him. Taking glory for himself instead of God. Before striking the rock, Moses addressed the people. "Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock?" The wording suggests that Moses took credit for the miracle, as if he and Aaron were the ones producing water, rather than God. Misrepresenting God's character. Throughout Israel's journey, God was patient and merciful. This moment could have been an opportunity to show God's grace, but instead, Moses portrayed him as harsh and reactionary. Symbolic meaning: Christ and the rock. In Exodus 17 verse 6, God told Moses to strike the rock for water. This foreshadowed Christ being struck or crucified to bring forth living water, which is salvation. In Numbers 20, God told Moses to speak to the rock, symbolizing that Christ, having already been struck once, crucified, only needs to be called upon in faith. Moses' action distorted this imagery, which could explain why God responded so strongly. The consequence: Moses forbidden from entering Canaan. God's punishment was immediate. "You will not bring this assembly into the land I have given them." Numbers 20:12. Why such a severe consequence? Leaders are held to a higher standard, as it says in James chapter 3 verse 1. Moses was not just any Israelite, he was the representative of God to the people. A public sin required a public consequence to uphold God's justice and holiness. Despite this, Moses remained faithful and accepted his fate. In Deuteronomy 34, God allowed Moses to see the Promised Land from Mount Nebo, but did not permit him to enter. Moses' final moments, location Mount Nebo overlooking the Promised Land. Moses, frail but resolute, gazes across Canaan. The golden sun casts long shadows over the land he will never enter. A divine voice speaks.
"This is the land I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You have led my people here, but you shall not cross over."
Moses bows his head in humility. He knows why.
"Your judgment is righteous, Lord. Your ways are perfect."
The death of Moses, location Mount Nebo, overlooking the Promised Land. Moses, now an old man, gazes over Canaan with weary yet hopeful eyes. He has led the Israelites for decades, performing mighty works of God, yet he knows he will not enter the land. His eyes close, the wind stills, silence. Then a supernatural presence descends. God himself buries Moses. The burial by God. The earth trembles slightly as an unseen force, God himself, lays Moses' body to rest. The burial is unseen by human eyes, ensuring no one will ever worship his remains. A holy light settles over the site before vanishing. The spiritual battle begins, a shadowy void between the heavens and the earth. Moses' body lies undisturbed, but two figures emerge from the darkness. Michael, the archangel, and Satan. Satan. Ah, Michael, here to defend another sinner? Michael remains calm, unwavering. Michael, the Lord rebuke you. Satan sneers but presses on. Satan, you know as well as I do. This man failed. He struck the rock when he was told to speak. He stole the glory of God before Israel. This man, gestures toward the body, disobeyed. He is mine. The atmosphere darkens, an unseen tension filling the void. The trial of Moses' actions. A swirling vision appears. Moments of Moses' past play out in the supernatural realm. Michael watches silently. Satan steps forward, triumphant.
You see? This so-called servant of God failed to obey. He defied a direct order. If God is just, then justice demands that he be given over to me.
Michael remains unmoved.
You misunderstand justice, deceiver. You twist truth for your own gain.
Michael's gaze sharpens.
His sin was great, but your claim is false. His failure did not make him yours, it revealed God's holiness.
Satan snarls, his argument weakening. God's sovereignty prevails. A divine light bursts forth, forcing Satan backward.
Moses was mine, not yours. His sin was accounted for and my justice stands. His faith remains. Depart.
Satan screams in frustration, vanishing into the darkness. Michael bows in reverence, stepping back as the burial site is sealed, hidden forever. The legacy of Moses. The Israelite camp. Joshua stands before the people. The Israelites mourn, yet Joshua steps forward, ready to lead. A voice echoes Moses' final words.
The Lord your God goes before you. Be strong and courageous.
The Promised Land, now in reach for the next generation. Obedience matters, even great leaders are accountable to God. God's holiness must be honored. Moses' mistake wasn't small, it altered how Israel saw God. The spiritual battle is real. Satan seeks to accuse, but God's authority prevails. Redemption through Christ, the rock symbolized Christ, and Moses' failure foreshadowed humanity's need for grace. God's mercy in the end. Even though Moses did not enter the earthly promised land, God was not finished with him. God personally buried Moses, an honor no one else received. Moses later appeared in the Promised Land. He stood with Elijah and Jesus at the Transfiguration, showing that God's promises go beyond earthly rewards. Final reflection. Moses' story teaches us, obedience to God is crucial, especially for leaders. God holds his servants accountable, but he is also merciful. Even our failures cannot stop God's ultimate